Hello, my name is Life Master AJ Goldsby, and I'm coming back today to bring you part two of the video that I began in part one. And in part one, we covered the game. We were looking at the game Kramnik versus Beliavsky from the Belgrade Investabank tournament that was played in 1995 in the former Republic of Yugoslavia. That's no longer called that. That country has been broken up into several different countries now. Won't even go into that. That's more for sociology or geography. I'm not interested in even trying one of those today. But anyway, this game was played in 1995. It's between Kramnik and Beliavsky, and it's a very brilliant game. And we're just going to quickly run through the first 11 moves because we covered these moves in some detail in part one. And also, I have a web page. It's already published. It's out there on the internet on part one. And I looked at the game in some detail. I consider these videos more of an overview and a commentary, sort of a blow by blow commentary rather than a specific analysis. I mean, I will get into specific analysis, but when I've already analyzed something in detail on my web page, I don't really feel the need to cover that material again in the video. In the video, I try to highlight different principles and maybe talk about the kinds of things or cover different lines and look at different things that I did not cover on the web page. And I will be sure to post the link for the web page just below. There's a box on when you're watching a YouTube type video on the internet. There's a little box down there, and just below the box where the video is showing, there's a little thing that says show more. If you click on that, then that will expand, and then will be able to see the link for the video. But anyway, going through the first, we're just going to quickly run through the first 11 moves of this game and try to get to the crucial position here. The game started off knight f3, d5, g3, c6, bishop g2, bishop g4, castles, knight d7, 5d4, e6, knight bd2, f5. I talked about that move. Black sets up sort of a stonewall pawn structure, but that may be somewhat doubtful here, a dubious concept because of the fact that black's behind in development. White plays c4, bishop to d6, queen b3, rook b8, rook e1, knight h6. Again, I thought that knight belonged on f6, but for whatever reason, Kramnik decided to put that on the edge of the board. And now white begins opening up the game. C takes d5, c takes d5. And now white plays a theoretical novelty at that time. It's a brand new move for opening theory. Again, that was at the time that this game was played. White plays h3. And it's basically kicking the bishop, asking the question of the light squared bishop. Kramnik indicated, and several other authors in several books indicated that black should have gone ahead and taken on f3, and I think that's probably pretty much forced. And Fritz seems to indicate also that that's the correct move for black. Black retreated his bishop to h5. Excuse me, and that was an extremely inferior move. It was just not the correct move at all. Black is trying to hang on to his light squared bishop, but now white just does something. He just I gave you the sneak peek of this in the first video. White plays the incredible move of e4, just totally unexpected. I mean, that's just a shot that just across the bow there. That just like a cannon shot across the bow. I mean, that just had to come as a total wake up call to poor Beliavsky. And also too, I really like this game because I've heard it said that Kramnik plays dull chess, that he plays boring chess, and maybe that might be true some of the time because when you play a really high rated player and he grinds and tends to grind people down little by little and then eventually win in the end, maybe most of his games do have a somewhat dry style. But I've heard the accusation that he doesn't play interesting chess, that his chess is boring, and this game totally destroys that myth. I mean, you can really readily see from this game that Kramnik gets into a all-out tactical fight that would have done even Mikhail Tal proud. So I mean, this is just a tremendous move, e4 there, and black has to do something. He can't allow white to just capture on d5 or f5 and win a pawn. So he goes ahead and plays f takes e4. Now I wasn't sure what was going to happen when I first saw this game. I really wasn't sure how white was going to respond to this game, but he plays the move knight takes knight. Actually, first he plays knight g5 here, and I thought knight takes e4 was coming, which also might be a good move for white. But knight g5, this looks like giveaway. I mean, when you see this game for the very first time, and if you don't have an engine running in the background, it's very easy to assume, that, you know, White's just throwing his pieces around with no thought at all. But actually, from the variations that Kramnik gave in his book, he very had considered that very carefully. Just quickly, we're going to look at the queen takes g5 line here, because to me that's a critical line. It's an inferior move according to the computer, but it's a natural move. You want to say, of course, White plays knight takes e4. He gets that nice discovered attack on the black queen. Queen e7, bishop g5, another hit on the queen. Black's queen rather has to move. Queen f8, queen takes d5. That's just another totally amazing move here. I mean, just blows me away. And the main idea here is there's a very neat trick here. If d takes e6, I'm rather the pawn on e6 takes d5, then White plays knight takes bishop d6 discovered check, and Black has to return the queen because the king won't have any squares. We'll just quickly look at that. Well, actually, let's just do this. Just that. Check, and you can see there's a discovered check, and wow, actually that's a discovered check and mate. So there you go. That's the reason that Black couldn't capture that. That was sort of a trick move there. And also, of course, bishop f7, knight takes d6 check, queen takes d6, queen takes, and of course White's winning easily there too. So after queen takes d5, Black could not capture the bishop because of that sneaky little threat, and the computer gives bishop e7 as being completely forced there, which it obviously was. Knight d6 check, king d8. That is forced according to the computer. If bishop takes d6, then you run into queen takes e6 check, and he's got to come back. Bishop takes e7, queen f7, and now White simply plays queen d6. And Black is lost because, White's threatening discovered checks there, and the Black's going to have to throw material in the way to stop that. And the king is totally frozen. He's stuck. He's stalemated. So any check is, discover check is going to be disastrous for Black. But anyway, after knight to d6 check there, king d8, according to the computer, was completely forced. White plays rook takes e6. And, there are just so many moves here there, that, White could play. Like, for example, rather Black could play. What about, say, bishop takes g5? Okay, that's an idea there. And now White plays queen takes g5 check, knight f6, rook c1, and once more we see all of White's pieces are closing in on Black, and White's not even a piece down here. He's basically got the king on the run. He's totally busted Black up, for free of charge. All this has happened just, totally without, Black getting anything out of it. But anyway, rook takes e6, bishop f7. The computer gives that his best. Knight takes check, knight takes, bishop takes e7 check. All these moves are best according to the computer. Queen takes, rook takes, king takes, and rook e1 check, king d8. That was forced there. The king can't save either knight, so he's going to have to give away one of the knights. Queen takes f7. And here now White has a rook, and White has a queen, a bishop, and two pawns, and all Black has is a knight and a rook. So that's just winning easily for White here. That's just one alternative there. The analysis here, if we wanted to go deep into analysis, if you look at my webpage, you'll see the analysis there is very complicated. But anyway, White played the move knight g5. To me, that's just a double exclam there. And even knight takes e4 would have worked, and I'm pretty sure I analyzed that move on my webpage. But anyway, White plays knight g5. Black plays bishop f7. Apparently that was forced to cover the e6 square. And now White plays knight d takes e4. Another, in my opinion, double exclam move. Just smash, smash, smash. Everyone, it's almost like White's determined to give away something here. But this is also the correct idea. Again, as I pointed out in part 1 of my video, that this is the correct idea for White because he's just ripping open lines, and Black's king's still caught in the center, so he's the one that's got to, try to avoid, the worst. And here, Black played d takes e4. That was just forced. If he doesn't do that, for example, if Black simply castles, White grabs a free piece with knight takes d6. So after knight takes e4, taking with a pawn was just completely forced. That was 100% forced, or box, if you will. And now White just plays knight takes e6. Again, smash, and you can see that White's succeeding. He had to invest a piece to do this, but White's succeeding in ripping open lines to the Black King, and the Black King's pretty much stuck in the center. And Black can't castle now. Well, A, his queen is hanging, and B, Black, if he castled now, it would be illegal because he's trying to castle through check on the F8 square. So Black's pretty much, he's got to do something here. Queen E7 looks like a good move until you see Rook takes E4, and suddenly that queen and that king being on the same line with that rook, rook protected on E4, suddenly that looks like a bad idea. So Black has to take, queen takes E6 check, and now queen E7. To me, that looks like it's more or less forced. Very few players, in my opinion, would play a move like, say, king F8 or bishop E7. I mean, that just doesn't look like it's going to do anything. And I guess really, since we're trying to be thorough here, I do want to look at some of these ideas. Well, a very natural move, if I were Black and try to defend this position in a tournament game, I would be tempted to play a move like bishop E7. And then White wins very simply with bishop takes H6, G takes H6, Rook takes E4. Black plays Rook F8. And now White plays this very strange Rook E3 move, which is just a really cool move there. I would have thought that White was going to double on, or triple rather, on the E file, but he plays Rook E3, Knight F6, D5 exclam, and Rook F7, and now just D6, and that just wins the bishop on E7, King F8, D takes E7 check. Queen takes E7, and now just simply White plays Queen B3. And here it's obvious that he's regained the pawn. Black's king is still not in jeopardy. In fact, White's a pawn up, and he's got a winning material advantage. He's got much superior pieces. He can double his rooks on the E-file. His attacks can continue almost unabated. This might have been maybe the best line for Black because but it's hopeless in Beliavsky's eyes. I'm sure he saw he's a pawn down. His king side's ripped to shreds. His pieces are on awkward squares, so he would probably just evaluated this as being completely lost. But anyway, going back to when White played queen takes E6, Black played queen E7 there, and now White plays rook takes E4. And now we have another little sort of trap here, and the trap is, a lot of players, I'm sure, they'd be thinking, well, I can just exchange pieces. So they're thinking queen takes queen here. Well, wait, let's see if we can just look at that here. If queen takes E6, rook takes E6 check, bishop E7, bishop takes, and there, if Black plays G takes H6, just simply doubling the rooks on the E-file, wins back the bishop on E7, and White has an overwhelming advantage. The computer gives Rook King F7 rather there as being forced. Now White plays Bishop D5. Suddenly the Black King is caught, in a threat of perpetual. Black plays Knight F6, Bishop B3, G takes H6. Again, these are all, Fritz moves. And then you got this RE1, really an exclam move. White a piece down just simply doubles, and it threatens the rook. And also, too, it's no good to simply protect it like RH E8, simply rook takes bishop, is a double check. White's in check Black rather is in check from both the rook on E7 and the bishop on B3. So it wouldn't do any good for Black to try to save that bishop. So he plays a move like rook B4 and White rook E7 check, King G6, bishop C2 check, Knight E4, rook E6 check, King G7, and now rook takes E4. And White's just up 2 pawns. Black's king is going to continue to be harassed. This might have been the best line because Black's going to survive. He's going to survive a lot longer than he did in the game. Instead of losing in under 20 moves, he gets to play on probably past move 30. He could play this move on position on for another 20 moves. There's no doubt that White will eventually win this game. But, that's just going to show you that, Black will win this, but it won't be a quick game. But anyway, backing up here, just going to back up here a minute to here. What I'm going to do here is I don't want to cut this too short. I'm going to pick this up again, and I'm going to do a part 3 on this video, and we'll look at some more variations there and just wrap it up very quickly. It won't be as long as the other 2 videos, but we'll go ahead and wrap this up. I'll pick this up, probably about move 13 because there was a few other things that I did want to point out, at the end of this game and talk about this game. But anyway, I'll go ahead and cut this off. This is the end of part 2. Thank you for watching my video. I'm hoping I would be quite pleased if you went ahead and watched part 3. And of course, if you're watching this video, you almost had to watch part 1. Thank you and have a good day.